This is Darren Marchant. This is Darren Marchant, and I am filming a site on public property that I cleaned up in the early fall last year, 2024. It's now 2025, and I am taking this recording of this in an adjacent area in order to demonstrate a principle in court if need be. I'll take stills from it probably and put it on Google Maps. This is an area that, prior to the weather getting really cold and crappy, looked about like this, except much more covered up with material. My camera in the other direction is covered with something that clouds it, some sort of washed out paint or something I was using. Messed up my camera, so I have to use this in a funny direction. Forgive me, an odd angle and so forth. But I separated out the underbrush fuel sources because this is a major potential for flash fire through here, and my intention was to reduce the risk of fire to the local neighborhoods. I kid you not, I'm not fibbing or nothing. This is what I did back in the fall of 2024. And it doesn't look like much, but it took a lot to pull all of it apart and stack it up. My intention was that the locals could use it for firewood, and I might use some in the middle of winter to cook some stuff. Excuse me. Okay, sorry about that. All this was covered with this material all spread out, piled up high around these trees, all dry and stacked up like you wanted it to burn. It was really bad. I'm going to go through here. I started to clean up some of this. I was pulling some of this apart, picking up little limbs like this one, and just kind of not really busting my ass because I'm old fart, trying not to wear myself out, but I just kind of, there you go, and I'd stack them up. I'd come through here, homeless, and I'm trying to work out how to explain to some otherwise intelligent people, our civic leaders, that some of their ideas about how to deal with the homeless are some pretty stupid ideas. I took a lot of this and crushed this down. This is all a mix of dead and live willow. This one's dead, this one's alive. The live ones are bendy, I would leave them, and the dead ones I would break like that. This one looks dead, but it's not. It's a live willow. It's still pretty good. I didn't hurt it too much doing that. It'll just stiffen up. But I went along and crunched it down, bent it down with my feet and broke the dry dead stuff. Like a lot of this is dead. It just breaks like that. And this stuff is a high surface area fuel source. It's really good for fast, hot fires for cooking. Like Chinese traditional cooking before a lot of technology came around. And it breaks really easy. Once it's broken and on the ground, especially if it's stacked up and cleared out of bad piles like that, it's really easy to control, and you can kind of keep fire away from it if you're a fire guy coming through. I started getting in here and picking up some of the limbs and picking them up and drawing them over, stacking them up over there. But the weather turned really bad. Now this is more indicative of what I found back there before I got it all cleaned up. And I would walk through here and break all these dead limbs, just like this, just wrap my arm around them and break them down. Just the dead stuff. The live stuff won't burn as easy. It's got water content in it, and it's live and vibrant and provides benefits to the wildlife and all kinds of things like that. These tumbleweeds, I'd mash them down, reduce their surface area. Here's another example of what it looks like. Got a lot of these dead limbs. They're really good for campfire cooking, short-term managed fires, but they're also not what you want in your environment when lightning starts a fire out in the field out here somewhere. And if you get a couple of those, it can get past the firefighters and get in close to these neighborhoods. Now you look up there, up over there, there's houses, businesses. You got trailers over here. And these trailers over here, as anybody knows, they're more vulnerable to storms in places like Oklahoma. Sometimes they catch fire historically because they had aluminum wiring in them. That was one of the things. But they're also tend to be tinderboxes, like they catch fire pretty easy. So my justification was, I'm born in Mountain Home, I'm trying to establish myself in the community, and I want to do good deeds. Well, I'm pretty upset and stressed out about the way I've been treated by police across the country, because a lot of it came as a surprise to me. Even though I'd heard, things, I didn't want to believe bad things about them early on, and I was wrong. I was very wrong. And that's a thing I'm still trying to balance out, how I feel about that, and be forgiving and God-fearing. But it's pretty hard for me right now. Right now, we got the grass coming up. Now these bunch grasses, a lot of these were planted intentionally. These bunch grasses, a lot of them were planted intentionally because they don't like to catch fire. And so they're not a big deal. But some of this other stuff, like this willow stuff and the tumbleweeds and some of the other dry grasses and other plants, when they die, they're straight up tinder for fire. And the city doesn't want us, always be spending a lot of money on remediation and stuff. So I figured I'd just pitch in. Maybe they come up with a reason to leave me the hell alone. But, wishing one hand and defecating the other, which is another thing that's very troublesome to me. See, this is typical. This is a high surface area display of wildfire fuel. These are all really dry. This stuff will burn like crazy. And when it's cross-stacked like this, that allows a lot of air underneath. So when I stack them up nice and neat, back down that way, in those stacks you saw, that benefits the community if they accept it. Here's more of the same, right? This is what it looks like. Cross-stacked random sticks left to rot. There's a lot of dumping of woody material out here and trash. I was accused of malicious littering, intentionally and aggressively littering on purpose. Well, it doesn't make sense because I've been walking through here picking up styrofoam and plastic and ricking up wood like this and breaking the dead limbs off the trees. That's still a live one. Everything with these green buds is live. And this one, you got a few dead ones on the ends, but not too much. That tree's largely okay. But like this piece here, that's a broken limb. And this, I can easily break it down. And that's what I did. I don't have tools much because I don't get any money to speak of. But I can take that, break that down, drop it to the ground. I come back later, pick up some of it. All through this part of this canal, this little ditch, is all this dead stuff sitting high up, ready to burn. So we want that to come down. We want to rick that up. Right now I'm trespassing. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm under threat of arrest if I use a public toilet at night, despite the fact that public sewage facilities are there to prevent really heinous diseases from spreading in our community. But the police would rather harass a guy who's broke and doesn't have a lot of choices, tell him he's got a lot of choices he doesn't have, while making it harder to make those choices. I asked the guy, the cop, that aggressively threatened to arrest me, should I come anywhere near a park at night, even if it's for the purpose, especially for the purpose of using a porta potty. I said, where do you recommend to defecate? He said, I don't care. I suggest anybody watching this go back and look at the history of feces-borne diseases in the Western world and why we have public bathrooms and porta potties and toilets and underground sewers. They're there for a very serious reason. We didn't spend all that money and all that effort and all that struggle to put those in the ground and build those facilities and make them available just as a luxury. Just as some sort of socialism or communism, we did it to prevent little children and grandmas and everybody else that we love and care about from getting really horrible diseases. In here we have more of this wood, more of these dead limbs, especially this one. This one, it's got a lot of it. That's all dead. That whole limb might be dead. Now every once in a while they'll come through with a chainsaw, they'll cut a little bit of it down. They might even come this year. But I think mostly they do it when somebody complains. And this is what they leave when they cut it. They cut these down, drop them on the ground like that. And they got on me because I had a few scraps of plastic and burnt tin cans I was using as cooking utensils that I had every intention of picking up. They got on me for that as malicious littering on public property. Because this is a right-of-way, either from the rail or from the road, one way or the other. And this is all fire hazard. It's all fire hazard against those homes over there. Those homes and businesses are at risk because of this. And I'm not saying the city's bad for having it this way. It's a lot of money and a lot of effort to keep up with all this, especially if you try and do it every year. It's expensive. And the city's been prioritizing what they choose to prioritize financially. I don't question that. But I'm not real thrilled with doing the work that I did, even if it's not that much. And being told I'm a threat to this society here, and I should be hounded day and night and kept awake and driven out of every place I find to lay down for even a moment's rest, unless I'm hiding. Unless I'm hiding. It's just not right. And for me to come through here and knock down some dead limbs on these feral trees that nobody gives a shit about, they don't care. These are not ornamentals. These are just uncontrolled growth that occasionally gets trimmed back.